What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Kyle Yates here. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out here as we go through some start-sit questions for week one. I will say right off the top here a couple of things that I want to mention. One, if you're listening to this and you're hearing a low humming, don't worry about that. You're not going crazy. You don't need to rush to the doctor and get your hearing checked. We've got a little bit of an issue going on with my microphone that we are working to fix. So if you do hear that, I just wanted to mention that right off the top. Don't worry. You're not going crazy and there isn't a swarm of bees around your house. Additionally, too, thank you. Thank you so much to our YouTube subscribers here, the YouTube support that we have. A year and a half ago, we were at something like 45,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now, we are at 113,000 last time I checked. So you guys have just been absolutely incredible. If you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video as well. Helps us out in a huge way. What I'm going to do here for the next hour as we hang out together is I am going to go through some of the recent news that has happened here just to be able to walk you through and make sure that you're caught up here with the latest happenings around the NFL. I'm going to go through 5 of my must-start players this week, 5 players that I'm higher than consensus on, and also some 5 sits here. It's some players that I am looking to bench if I have the opportunity. It's a little bit different here in week 1. I'll just admit that right off the top that week 1's a little interesting, right? You drafted these guys. You're most likely going to be starting them if you drafted within the first 8 rounds or whatever. You know, you're going to be looking to start those players, but as we get a little bit further down the board, there are some players that I have outside of the start-worthy range. I'll get through those. And then we are going to get into your questions. So if you do have a question, please make sure that you drop it in the chat here on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/fantasypros. Make sure you drop that there, and we will do our best to get to as many as we can. We also have, I believe, Dan Harris here answering questions in the chat. So Dan is just the worst at his job, though, so I really would not be expecting a ton here from him as he works to answer your questions. So don't have high hopes for Dan answering your questions in the chat. All right, let's get into some recent news here on the in the NFL. I'm going to start back at yesterday just to make sure that we are up to date on the recent happenings. Evan Ingram missed Wednesday's practice. At this point, he seems like a long shot to play this Sunday. So Evan Ingram, you most likely did not draft him to be a top 12 option at the tight end position. So he is most likely sitting on your waiver wire. If he isn't, if you're holding onto him from on the bottom of your bench at some, just let him go. This calf injury, we don't know how long it's going to be hanging around, and I don't have high hopes for him anyway in this offense. So Evan Ingram, if you've got him, just drop him to your waiver wire. Additionally, Trenton Cannon was signed to the Ravens 53-man roster. So if you've got a super deep league, this doesn't really move me off of Tyson Williams. Le'Veon Bell is just still on the Ravens practice squad. He might be called up, but I'm not expecting him to eat into Tyson Williams' workload at all, or Gus Edwards. Love Gus Edwards this week. We'll get to him in a little bit. Curtis Samuel left the practice field yesterday with a groin injury. He pulled up on a route during Wednesday's practice and left the field. So we have yet to see an update on this situation here. But Curtis Samuel, where you drafted him, you most likely do not need, you're not relying on him as a flex option. So Curtis Samuel, just hold on to him on your bench here. You're not looking to play him in week 1. I do have concerns about this moving forward, though. Additionally, Chris Godwin was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. He seems like he's good to go for tonight's game. Fire Chris Godwin up in your rosters, in your starting lineups as a top 20 option. Love Godwin. Love the matchup here against Dallas. DeAndre Swift, a full participant in practice Wednesday. We knew that he was recovering well from the injury. Now the concern was conditioning. So the question here, as he goes up against a very, very tough run defense with the San Francisco 49ers in week 1, what's his workload going to be like? I'm a little bit lower than consensus on DeAndre Swift. I still think that you can start him if you need to. I still think you can start him if you need to, but he's one of these guys that I do have concerns about what his full conditioning is and what is the workload going to look like with the split with Jamal Williams in week 1. Kenny Golladay with a hamstring limited in practice on Wednesday. I don't expect Kenny Golladay to play. Even if he does, I'm not starting him in this matchup. Hamstring issues tend to linger, and so I'm not expecting Kenny Golladay to suit up in this one. Nelson Aguilar limited in practice Wednesday. You're not playing Nelson Aguilar this week against the Miami Dolphins secondary. Please do not do that. Paris Campbell limited in practice on Wednesday with an Achilles injury. Now, this is just a lingering ailment, not something he suffered during Wednesday's practice. So this is not good news for someone who was supposed to be coming back from injury and supposed to be making a significant contribution with T.Y. Hilton out of the lineup. So Michael Pittman Jr., we'll get to him in a minute. He's one of these guys that I'm absolutely looking at here in week 1. I'm not expecting Paris Campbell to suit up here. If he does, very, very limited workload. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is practicing in full for week 1. He is ready to go. You can fire him up as a mid-range running back too. And then additionally, guys, the final one here, that Austin Eckler did not practice Wednesday. This is significant. It seems like it was a hamstring injury. We are still waiting for an update here on what exactly this injury looks like, what the extent of it is. So this is a situation to monitor as we head into week 1. It's not a good sign for a player that missed some action last season that he is already dealing with a hamstring issue. Not a good sign for Austin Eckler. All right, let's get into some of the players that I am higher than consensus this week here. So at the running back position, we'll start here. Gus Edwards. I have Gus Edwards at RB15 on the week. He is one of my must-start players this week. Going up against the Las Vegas Raiders defense that was absolutely gashed by opposing running backs last year, Edwards belongs in your starting lineup as a high-end RB2. If you're in a standard league, I think that he gets pushed up into the top 12 potentially. He stands a very good chance of finding the end zone in this one. Darrell Henderson at RB22 for me. Eddie Goldman, the Chicago Bears nose tackle, is reportedly potentially dealing with an injury. He might not play this week. So if that is the case, then you have a massive opportunity here for Darrell Henderson and the running backs for the Rams to be able to find rushing lanes. Now, you still got Akeem Hicks. You still got Khalil Mack there on that defensive line. They should be able to keep Henderson in check. But the passing game here, the Rams are going to be in the red zone a lot in this one, and Henderson has a very good chance of finding the end zone as well. ECR, I think, has him outside the top 24. I've got him inside my top 24 as a low-end running back too. Over to the wide receiver position, I talked about Chris Godwin, how you want to fire him up in this matchup. You want to do the same for Antonio Brown. I've got Antonio Brown at wide receiver 26 on the week. You need to get AB in your starting lineup. There is a very realistic chance that Antonio Brown leads this team in targets, not only this week, but season long. So Antonio Brown is looking, we got the report that Bruce Arians saying he's looking like the AB that we had in Pittsburgh 4 or 5 years ago. I believe it. And he's got the connection with Tom Brady. We could absolutely see Antonio Brown go off in this matchup against the Dallas secondary that is going to get gashed by Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and AB. Michael Pittman Jr., I talked about him with Paris Campbell not being fully healthy here. T.Y. Hilton, we know, is not playing in this game. With Carson Wentz seeming like he's suiting up in week 1 and trending towards playing. Now, we don't know what version of Carson Wentz we're going to get, but Michael Pittman Jr. is a very, very talented wide receiver, and he has the potential to soak up the number one option as the number one targets as the number one option here in this offense. So Michael Pittman Jr. I've got as wide receiver 33 on the week. There's the chance that he climbs even higher than this by the time that we get to game time on Sunday. Jonnu Smith, no surprise, right there. I got to figure out the backwards lens which way this is going. Jonnu Smith absolutely belongs in your starting lineup here. The Miami Dolphins have a fantastic secondary. They have fantastic corners, which are going to keep Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, and Kendrick Bourne, whoever is starting for the New England Patriots as the opposite wide receiver with Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, and Noah Igbenogany. They're going to keep these guys in check. However, the middle of the field is wide open here with these linebackers that the Miami Dolphins have. I like Hunter Henry too this week, and Jonnu Smith, though, is going to be force-fed targets in this one and moving forward. So Jonnu Smith, if you drafted him late, you got a steal. He needs to be in your starting lineup this week. The must-sit options here, and then we'll get to your questions. Noah Fant for me at tight end 12. Now, Noah Fant, we don't know what exactly is going on with this potential leg injury. We don't know what exactly is happening there, even if he is fully healthy here. Now, I was lower on Noah Fant than consensus to begin with this entire offseason. I had no idea why he was being drafted as the tight end 7 or tight end 8 off the board. There's a lot of competition for targets here in this offense, and Noah Fant has not scored more than 3 receiving touchdowns in any season here. With Teddy Bridgewater, we know that he's not going to throw as many touchdowns as an Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, so I didn't see the upside here with Noah Fant, with him dealing with this potential injury, with the very realistic possibility that the New York Giants might be shut out in this one. I have concerns that in the second half, the Denver Broncos might throw the ball 3 times, and they'll just run the ball with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. Noah Fant, not looking to play him this week if I can avoid it. Kareem Hunt at RB32. I'm a little bit lower than Kareem Hunt, even though this game, lower on Kareem Hunt, even though this game might turn into a shootout. He's not someone that I am looking to start here this week. I've got him outside my top 30 running backs on the week. There are other options that I believe you can go with. I would personally look to play Trey Sermon over Kareem Hunt this week. Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 35 in my rankings here, a little bit lower than consensus. He's a guy that absolutely has the potential because of the matchup, but we could see San Francisco realistically pull what they did in the NFC Championship against the Green Bay Packers a couple years ago and throw the ball 7, 8, 10 times, whatever it may be. And that is just, we know that the ball is going to go to Kittle. We know then the ball is going to go to Ayuk. Deebo Samuel is the third option here in this offense. He'll see a handful of touches, but I'm not thinking that it's going to return more than wide receiver 35 value on the week. Jamar Chase, wide receiver 44 on the week. I love Jamar Chase. I think that he is going to be an absolute value when we look back at the end of the season. However, week 1 here, even though it is a fantastic matchup, I have concerns. With Jamar Chase, if I can avoid it, or if I can sit him, I am looking to sit Jamar Chase and hold him on my bench until we see what exactly he looks like and if he has eliminated the drop concerns and how the connection with Joe Burrow plays out. Finally, Juju Smith-Schuster. I've been lower on Juju Smith-Schuster than pretty much everyone else this entire offseason. I have concerns about his role in this offense and how much he's actually going to be on the field in an offense that the passing attempts are going to come crashing down. I have Juju at wide receiver 49 on the week. The Bills are a fantastic secondary, one that is not one that you want to target in fantasy matchups here. So I think the ball is going to go to Deontay Johnson. I think it's going to go to Chase Claypool. I think Najee Harris is going to get a ton of work. We might even see Pat Freiermuth as the starting tight end in 11 personnel here. That leaves Juju Smith-Schuster out in the cold here. I'm not looking to play Juju if I can avoid it. All right, let's move into your questions. We've got my producer, Chris. Everyone give Chris a shout-out. That is K-R-I-S. Give him a shout-out in the YouTube chat. And thank him for all the work he does here. Let's get right into this. Pedro asks, Kyle, would it be crazy to sit Zeke tonight and start Javonte Williams or Kenneth Gainwell? Sitting Zeke. All right, let's talk about Zeke in this matchup. Going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do I want to play Ezekiel Elliott against the most dominant run defense from last year that returned all of their starters and added a guy like Joe Tryon, who I had as edge 2 in this draft? No, I do not want to play Zeke, but he's still going to see plenty of work and plenty of volume that he is still a top 15 running back in my rankings. Javonte Williams, I have at RB 30 on the week, and then Kenneth Gainwell, I've got way down. I'm not looking at playing Gainwell. Ezekiel Elliott is going to see plenty of work in this one where he's going to still be a safe option. Does he come with upside because of the matchup? No, he doesn't. Could Javonte Williams finish higher than him in projected fantasy points? Sure, but the possibilities and probability of that happening is very, very slim. So I am still rolling out Ezekiel Elliott. You heard the difference in rankings there. I've still got Ezekiel Elliott as a top 15 running back this week. I think you can comfortably rely on him. Let's go to Garrett Millsap. Kyle Pitts and Terry McLaurin for DK Metcalf. Should I trade? Receiving Metcalf. You have Cooper and Hollywood Brown. So Kyle Pitts and Terry McLaurin, it depends on what you're going to be doing at your tight end position, right? Because you spent a premium pick on Kyle Pitts. Terry McLaurin is a top 10 receiver for me, top 12 receiver for me in season-long rankings. DK Metcalf, top 5 for me. So you're making an upgrade there, but what's the sacrifice at the tight end position? Am I comfortable with going into the season with just Amari Cooper and Hollywood Brown as my wide receivers? Absolutely not. So if I can take Terry McLaurin and I could potentially trade down and get a Robert Woods and a Deontay Johnson or something like that to be able to provide more depth, that is the way that I would be thinking about making this trade versus sending 2 to acquire 1, because that leaves you vulnerable now at the tight end position. And yes, you did upgrade at wide receiver, but you still need depth. Ricardo, PPR League, Higgins or Woods in week 1. I'm assuming that is T. Higgins or Robert Woods. I'm going with Robert Woods. I have Woods as a top 12 receiver. The Bears have Jalen Johnson and Kindle Vildor as their CB1 and CB2, even though they have a dynamic pass rush. And their run defense should be able to keep Henderson in check, even though I still think that he's going to be a fine fantasy asset. The passing game here, the passing defense in Chicago is vulnerable, and Matthew Stafford is going to light them up with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. I have both Woods and Kupp as top 12 options on the week. Ryan Jones, Tyler Higbee, or Jonnu Smith. This is super close. In my rankings here, let me just pull this up just to make sure. I have them, I think, back-to-back. I have Tyler Higbee at 6 on the week, and I have Jonnu Smith at 8. So I would be looking to play Tyler Higbee. The Bears were actually the 5th easiest matchup for opposing tight ends last season from a fantasy perspective. So Tyler Higbee is a guy that I'd be looking to play this week over Jonnu Smith, although I still do love Jonnu Smith, obviously. Let's find the next one here. Keith Sheeran, Allen Robinson, or Amari Cooper. Tough one here because both are really, really tough matchups. I've got Allen Robinson. Dan Harris and I were just talking about this in our Discord channel. If you have not joined our Discord channel, please do so. Go over to fantasypros.com/chat and find out ways to be able to get involved there. We just did a Discord stages where you actually get to come up on stage with us and like a radio program and get to ask us a question there. So, and we got asked about Allen Robinson this week. I have Allen Robinson at 19. Dan Harris has him at 23. So we are lower than consensus, I'm sure, on Allen Robinson because of the matchups here with Jalen Ramsey. We have concern about Jalen Ramsey and how shut down of a corner he is. And then also Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton with this Bears offensive line is going to be under pressure all game long. So I do have concerns about Allen Robinson here. With Amari Cooper, he's going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. That is a solid secondary in its own right. So I have Amari Cooper, though, at 21. These guys are super close. I've got Allen Robinson at 19, T. Higgins at 20, and then Amari Cooper at 21. I will still go with my rankings here. They're super, super close, but I've got Allen Robinson higher than Amari Cooper this week. Jonathan, full PPR, 10-team Superflex. I'm starting Najee Harris, but need advice on RB2. David Montgomery, Mike Davis, Kareem Hunt. So for me, I still have David Montgomery as a safe RB2 option for you. I still think that you can, even though the matchup is not fantastic, I know that he's going to get a ton of work in this one. So I've got David Montgomery at RB16 on the week, and then I've got Mike Davis at RB20, and then Kareem Hunt I talked about as one of my sits of the week. I've got him all the way down at 32. So I think that you can absolutely go with David Montgomery here. I'm not excited about any of these guys. I think that Davis is going to provide a safe floor, especially in PPR formats, but David Montgomery I feel the most confident in, if that makes sense. ONN, CEH, or Jonathan Taylor. This is not close for me. I have Jonathan Taylor at RB8 on the week, and then I have CEH at RB19. With CEH, the concern, I know he's practicing in full, but I just still have concerns about what is the workload here. What are we going to see from this offense, and is CEH going to see an uptick in work? I don't have that guarantee, so he's a little bit further down in my running back rankings this week just because of that. So I will easily go with Jonathan Taylor there. Raphael Bowen, hey Yates, Trey Sermon, or Melvin Gordon. I have Melvin Gordon at 30, and then I have Trey Sermon at 31. So this is super, super close here. With Melvin Gordon, I think that he's going to be a very, very safe option for you. I think that you know what you're going to get. Trey Sermon, I think that Raheem Mostert is going to be the running back that you want to target in this one. I've got Raheem Mostert all the way up at RB13 on the week, so I think that Mostert is the guy, but Trey Sermon is still going to see a lot of work in this one, and the scoring opportunities are going to be there. I just have concerns about playing Sermon in week 1. I don't know what the split here looks like with Raheem Mostert healthy. So, Trey Sermon at RB31, Melvin Gordon at RB30. That is a coin toss. It just depends on what you need. Do you need upside already in week 1? Then I'll go with Sermon, but he comes with a little bit of a lower floor. Do you need the safety? Then I'll go with Melvin Gordon. Jacob Barrick, Jamar Chase, or Noah Fant. Both of these guys were must-sit options for me. Talked about that a little bit earlier, so not exactly what you want to hear, Jacob. But I will go with Jamar Chase here in a PPR format. With Noah Fant, I think that he's going to be fine, but I have concerns about the game script and how much they're actually going to need Noah Fant. So I will go with Jamar Chase here in a fine matchup, although I don't want to play either one of these guys. Rob Murphy, should I start Michael Pittman Jr. or Jarvis Landry? For me, Michael Pittman Jr. is the answer here. Got him higher than Landry in my rankings. I love Michael Pittman Jr. this week and moving forward. I think that this is going to be a coming out party for him. Kevin Lynch, full PPR, start Damian Harris or Darrell Henderson. I have Darrell Henderson higher than Damian Harris. I have Henderson at 22 on the week and Damian Harris at 25. Either one you can get away with as a low-end RB2, but Henderson, I think, has the better potential to find the end zone here. Damian Harris, I just have concerns about what is the rotation going to look like here. How much work is Harris going to see? Are we going to see Ramondre Stevenson involved, even though he's got that dislocated thumb and he should be able to play Sunday, though? What does that look like? Is Stevenson going to be the guy that they turn to at the goal line? I don't know that yet, so I will go with Henderson, who I think has a more clear and defined role. Casey Leatherwood, start 2. Ezekiel Elliott, James Robinson, or Chris Carson. For me, I'm going to go with James Robinson for sure. I've got him at RB10 on the week. Against the Houston Texans, you play the running backs. You play the running backs against the Houston Texans. So James Robinson at RB10. And then it comes down to Ezekiel Elliott and Chris Carson, both who have brutal matchups. The Indianapolis Colts were fantastic against the run last year. I think that continues into this season. So I have Ezekiel Elliott at RB14 on the week and Chris Carson at RB18. I will stick true to my rankings here. I will start Zeke. Let's move on to Daniel asking full point PPR OBJ or Josh Jacobs. I will go with Odell Beckham Jr. here pretty easily. I think that even though it is a tough matchup for opposing wide receivers, I think that this game could easily turn into a shootout. This is going to be such a fun game to watch. The Cleveland Browns against the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Jacobs, I am looking to sit him if I can, especially in a full point PPR. I think that Kenyon Drake could actually outscore Josh Jacobs this week in full point PPR if we're being realistic. So OBJ here, let me see where I've got OBJ in my rankings. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've got him at 24 on the week. And Josh Jacobs, I've got around that same spot in the running back rankings, but just in a full point PPR, I think there's more upside with OBJ. Mao 5 Trap, full PPR, AB or Elijah Moore. That's Antonio Brown for me pretty easily. I don't even know if Elijah Moore is going to be a starter in this offense, with Jamison Crowder potentially still having a chance to play in this one. I don't know if Elijah Moore is going to take Keelan Cole's spot on the outside. I think that Elijah Moore is a slot receiver, and if that is the case, then he's got to beat out Jamison Crowder, who has the veteran presence here. I think that he's going to be the guy who is the starter, at least to begin the year, and then Elijah Moore has upside to take over that role as the year continues. So I will go Antonio Brown there pretty easily. David asked Tannehill or Stafford. I have Tannehill. I'm actually making this decision in a dynasty league that I'm in. I've got both Ryan Tannehill and Matthew Stafford on my roster. I went with Tannehill. The Arizona Cardinals just do not have any of the corners that are going to be able to match up with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones this week, assuming that A.J. Brown does play. That was something else to monitor here. It sounds like that was just a rest day for him, so not too concerned about that. Ryan Tannehill is the answer here. I think that he has tremendous upside with what A.J. Brown and Julio Jones can do to this Arizona Cardinals secondary. I do like Stafford still, though. I've got both of them inside of my top 12. Tannehill's just a little bit higher. Sean Taylor, full PPR, Mike Davis or Myles Gaskin. This is close. I have Mike Davis, as I mentioned before, at RB20. And then I have Myles Gaskin at RB23 on the week. So Myles Gaskin, the New England Patriots are going to be back to the dominant version that we saw from them in 2019. Got to get my years straight. I have no idea what year it is currently. So Myles Gaskin, I think, is going to have it's going to be tough for him on the ground, but he's going to make up for it with his work as a receiver out of the backfield. So I still think that Myles Gaskin is a very safe option for you, but Mike Davis just comes with a little bit more upside. I'll go with Davis there at RB20. Josh Martin, is Brandon Cooks an attractive enough matchup versus Jacksonville to flex him over DJ Moore in full PPR? Not over DJ Moore. I think Brandon Cooks is a fine wide receiver 3 option for you this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars secondary has improved this offseason. So I think that, their guy, it's not as attractive as a matchup as it was last year. It has added some guys to that secondary. Brandon Cooks should see enough volume where he's going to be a safe wide receiver 3 pretty much every single week. But DJ Moore here up against the New York Jets secondary. The Jets do not have anyone that is going to be able to slow down this passing attack with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, CMC. It's going to be a fun game to watch. So DJ Moore is a guy that I want to get into my starting lineups, particularly in a full PPR format. Taylor Westcott, half PPR, James Conner or Devin Singletary. Can I answer neither? No, I can't? Okay. I will go with James Conner here. I really don't want to play either one of these guys, as I alluded to. But James Conner, I feel like, has the safer floor. I don't know what is going on with this Buffalo Bills backfield. I really don't want to roster any of the Bills running backs this entire season until we see one of them completely take over. And even if they do, it's not like they're going to see 250 carries on the ground or have goal line opportunities, because we know that Buffalo loves to pass and that they're going to use Josh Allen around the goal line. So James Conner, I feel like, is kind of the same thing where Kyler Murray is the goal line back, but you could see a path where James Conner falls into the end zone, and that's really what you're hoping for with these options here. Devin Singletary, we know that he's not going to see work around the goal line. Final Fablas, totally butchered your name. I apologize. Full PPR, Chase Claypool, Brandon Cooks, or Antonio Brown. Tough matchup for Chase Claypool this week. Beautiful matchup for Antonio Brown. I will go with Antonio Brown there. And Brandon Cooks, I mentioned, is a little bit further down my rankings. Josh Lee Beast, Tyler Lockett, or Brandon Ayuk in full PPR. Brandon Ayuk, I have at 23 in half PPR. Tyler Lockett, I have at 22. I think that you can You can look at either one of these guys. Brandon Ayuk has the most upside just because of the matchup. The matchup is absolutely beautiful. But I do have the concern that San Francisco gets out to an early lead, and then they just run the ball down Detroit's throat the entire rest of the game, and we literally only see Jimmy Garoppolo, who I do assume is the starting quarterback here in Week 1, him throw the ball 15 times max. So that is the case. That's not enough volume for Brandon Ayuk to return that value. Tyler Lockett, we at least know that this game is going to be competitive all the way through. I will go with Tyler Lockett there, but just depends on kind of what you want and the way that you see that game script narrative playing out. Tyler Lockett is my answer, though, but it's super, super close. All right. Where were we? JP34, full PPR, DeAndre Swift or Tyler Boyd. In a full PPR format, I will go with Tyler Boyd. I think DeAndre Swift, I talked about him earlier. I do have concerns about just the workload in general and what it looks like here in Week 1. So I will go with Tyler Boyd, who, if Jamar Chase is going to get off to a slow start like I am projecting, then Tyler Boyd's absolutely going to be relevant, especially in a full PPR format. I feel like he provides a very, very safe floor, whereas DeAndre Swift, I don't know what that floor is. Adam C., Chris Carson, or CEH this week in full PPR. These guys are RB18 and RB19 in my rankings, respectively, currently. So, flip a coin. Super, super close. I think that Chris Carson is the guy that I will go with there just because he is higher in my rankings. CEH, I talked about him earlier. I just have concerns about his workload and what it truly is going to look like. So, there's the potential that CEH absolutely finishes higher, but I just don't have that. It's a smaller probability in my mind than Chris Carson. David asks, I play in a league with the Superflex. I have Jimmy G in there, but I also have Cousins and Mac Jones on the bench. Which one do I play? I am not playing Mac Jones this week. He is a rookie quarterback that really does not have much of a high ceiling for fantasy purposes. With this offense, the way that it is currently structured and the receiving weapons he has around it, if he, a couple years down the road, can he get there? Sure, if he develops the way that many people think that he can. But week 1 against the Miami Dolphins, who led the entire league, or were tied last year for the league lead in interceptions, I'm expecting a couple of picks here, one pick at least, maybe a couple here from Mac Jones. He's a rookie quarterback. That's fine. He's going to make mistakes. It's okay. That does not mean that we need to take week 1 victory laps on Mac Jones or anything like that. He's a rookie quarterback. He's going to develop, but he's not someone that I'm looking at for fantasy purposes. I've got him as a QB3, even in season long. Cousins has a fine matchup up against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that I would go with him over Jimmy G, even though the matchup is great for Jimmy Garoppolo. I've talked about it several times. How many pass attempts is Jimmy Garoppolo going to have? Maxime, should I start T. Higgins or Laviska Shenault? I've got T. Higgins at 20. I've got Laviska Shenault at wide receiver 34. 34. Nailed it. Haha. So I will go with T. Higgins here. Got him at, like I said, wide receiver 20. Laviska Shenault. I think that here's the thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers, and let me talk about this super quick. With Jacksonville, the potential right now and what I am projecting is that all of these guys with Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, and then Laviska Shenault, they're all kind of even from a target share perspective. We don't know. We think that it could be Marvin Jones, but we don't know who Trevor Lawrence is going to lock onto. We just don't know who that player is here that he's going to trust and has that chemistry with. It's a rookie quarterback. We don't have that guarantee. So could it be Laviska Shenault? Yeah, I got him ranked the highest out of the 3 of these guys, but they're all pretty close. I've got Laviska at 34, I've got DJ Chark at 40, and Marvin Jones at 42. So we just don't know, even though this is a fantastic matchup, one of these guys is going to finish as a top 24 option. I'm almost certain of it. I just don't know which one it's going to be. I will place the money, though, on Laviska Shenault. But in relation to your question, T. Higgins over Laviska Shenault. Cliff asks, Gronk or Goddard in PPR week 1. Gronk absolutely has the potential to find the end zone in this one, just like any week, but he might only see 3 targets. Gronk is not someone that I want to rely on from a fantasy perspective unless I am in a deep league. With Dallas Goedert, he's got a cap ceiling with Zach Ertz currently on this roster. However, I do still feel safe enough with Goddard and his target share in this offense that I feel like I would roll with him over Rob Gronkowski. I think I've got Gronk at 16 on the week, and I've got Dallas Goedert at 11. Rick asks, half PPR for your wide receiver 2 spot, DJ Chark, Jalen Waddle, Marquez Callaway, or Devontae Smith. I love Marquez Callaway, and I think that he is absolutely going to make an impact for fantasy football while Michael Thomas is out of the lineup. However, I can't trust him in week 1 here up against the Green Bay Packers. I just can't trust him yet to confidently put him above some of these other guys. DJ Chark, I talked about him where I've got him ranked. I think that he absolutely has potential, but I don't know. It's kind of the same thing with Marquez Callaway. Jalen Waddle has a fantastic matchup. I think that with Devontae Parker taking coverage from J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore is on the PUP list. I think that Waddle is going to be targeted heavily in this game. I think Devontae Parker, you don't want to go anywhere near him here in week 1. And then Devontae Smith, I need to see it. Like, I need to see what his connection with Jalen Hurts looks like here in this offense. I just need to see it. I have a little bit more concern about Devontae Smith. Now, I've still got Devontae Smith within my top 40 wide receivers in the week, so you should be playing him as a flex option. However, Waddle, I've got higher. I have Jalen Waddle. Let me put this all into perspective. I have Jalen Waddle here at 35. I have Devontae Smith at 37, so it's not a far gap. DJ Chark at 40, and then Marquez Callaway at 43. All kind of in that flex conversation, absolutely, but I will go with Jalen Waddle. All right, Thomas Smith, Michael Gallup, Smith. I'm assuming Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle this week. Michael Gallup is someone that I'm looking to sit if I can up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Looking to sit him if I can. He's a little bit further down rankings. And then I just talked about Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. It's Waddle for me. You bow Goodgreens, Pitts, or Andrews in PPR. I will go with Andrews here. It's just a comfort issue, right? With Andrews, I know what I'm going to get. I know who he is. With Kyle Pitts, I think I know who he is. I think I know what he can be. But in week 1, I'm not going to put him above Mark Andrews. I've got Pitts at 5. I've got Andrews at 4 on the week. So you absolutely are in the same ballpark. And congrats on having both of those guys somehow on your roster. But Andrews for me. Jero 12, Ronald Jones or Fournette as a flex in full PPR. It's Ronald Jones for me. Leonard Fournette, I don't want to go anywhere near. Actually, let me clarify. I don't want to go anywhere near this backfield unless I absolutely have to. With Jones, I think that he is the better runner. I think that he is going to have the starting role here. However, I think that Fournette is still going to be involved and rotate through snaps here. And then Giovanni Bernard will come in on third down. This is a backfield that I want to watch closely tonight to see how it exactly looks and how it exactly shakes out. Ronald Jones is the guy that I have the most faith in. However, that doesn't mean that I have a lot of faith in him. Mr. Cortez, PPR, flex Henderson or Mike Davis. I've got Davis, like I said, I think I've got Davis at 20 and then Henderson at 22. Just double checking that because then someone's going to yell at me if I get it wrong. Mike Davis at 20, Henderson at 22, so I will go with Mike Davis here. I think either one is fine. Professor Rodriguez, Henry Ruggs, or take a flyer on De'Ami Brown. So De'Ami Brown obviously moves into relevance. Excuse me. De'Ami Brown obviously moves into relevance if Curtis Samuel misses this game. However, that doesn't mean that I can trust him here in this matchup up against the Chargers. He's still a rookie wide receiver that I did have a little bit further down my pre-draft rankings coming out of North Carolina. So I think that where he went in the NFL draft is right around where I had him as a third-round evaluation, third-round pick. I do have concerns just about his development. So De'Ami Brown is not like a Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, who I just feel like is a locked and loaded guy that we can plug into our rosters if the situation clears up. So De'Ami Brown is not someone that I'm looking at. Henry Ruggs is a tough matchup. I don't think that you are really excited to play him. But in that situation, most likely as a flex, Henry Ruggs does bring some upside if he can reel in one of those deep passes. That's what you're looking for in your flex. Lance West, full PPR, Allen Robinson or Mike Davis, super close. I talked about where I've got Allen Robinson at 19 in the wide receiver rankings, Mike Davis at running back 20. In a full PPR, I honestly might go Mike Davis. I think that he's going to soak up targets out of the backfield here. And yeah, I think that Davis is probably going to be the way that I go there, but that is super close, like I mentioned. All right, Vince, full PPR, pick 2 for flexes, Laviska Shenault, Jerry Jeudy, or Myles Gaskin. I will definitely go with Laviska Shenault as one of them, and then I will go with Myles Gaskin. I think in a full PPR, I think that you're definitely going to see Gaskin involved as a receiver, where he's going to reel in 5-6 catches in this one, and I think that is a very, very safe option for you in full PPR formats. I love Jerry Jeudy, don't get me wrong, but here is the issue with Jeudy is the potential game script narrative that I talked about with Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, Noah Fant earlier, is are they going to need Jerry Jeudy? I think that he's going to give you a safe floor, But if the New York Giants can't score points, then they're just going to turn. Denver's going to turn to the run game. So that's the concern there. I think Laviska Shenault has has more upside. Excuse me. KC1324, would you rather start James Conner or Adam Troutman as your flex? You should absolutely not be looking at Adam Troutman. While I love Adam Troutman and think that he has the potential to be great, he's dealing with an injury that we really have not heard much about. We don't know what his status is on that. And then we don't know what his role is. Does Jawan Johnson actually have the starting tight end role in this offense here? That is a real legitimate question. So I just have concerns there. You should not even be, quite frankly, rostering Adam Troutman unless you're in a 14-team league with super deep benches. James Conner is the guy that I will go with here. Again, not super excited to start James Conner, though. Swagak, Zach Ertz or Jordan Akins. Gross. I don't want either one of these guys. No offense. Zach Ertz. Jordan Akins, I don't know what his role is. And this offense sucks. So I'll go Zach Ertz. All right. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. If you have not done so, please hit that like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. Join the what are we up to? 113,000? Let me check. 114,000. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Additionally, guys, if you have not done so, you need to get my playbook. You can go over to fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Get the fantastic tool that allows you to keep everything, all of your leagues in one place, and get an immense amount of tools here. A start sit assistant. It has an autopilot feature, a waiver wire assistant. Everything that you will need to dominate your leagues this year can be found with my playbook. So make sure that you go over to fantasypros.com/myplaybook and get more information. All right. Additionally, if you are a new user over at fantasypros.com, you can get a 6-month upgrade for only $10 by depositing on one of our partner sites. That's it. So go to fantasypros.com/offers for more details on that. Let's keep rolling with questions here. Let's go with Cole Taylor in the full PPR flex. Brandon Ayuk, Gus Edwards, or Deontay Johnson. Even though it is a full PPR, I actually might be going with Gus Edwards here. I think that he has the most upside. Brandon Ayuk, yeah, he has upside. But Gus Edwards here, I know, is going to be utilized throughout this entire game. Against the Raiders, who are allowing 1.5 rushing touchdowns per game last year, Gus Edwards is a guy that absolutely should score in this one and potentially even score multiple times. So Gus Edwards I've got at RB15 on the week. Brandon Ayuk, I've talked about the concerns there. Deontay Johnson, I actually have at wide receiver 29 on the week. I'm a little bit lower on all Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers this week than consensus. Joe McGovern, Corey Davis, or Chase Edmonds in full PPR. Corey Davis, for me, that's not even close. I think Corey Davis is going to soak up targets here. Chase Edmonds, he'll be fine in a full PPR format, but he is an RB3 at best. Rick Lamberton, Antonio Brown, or Cortland Sutton in a full PPR. Cortland Sutton is a guy that I'm looking to sit this week if I can. I just have, even though he looked great in the third preseason game, looked like he is fully trusting his knee. I just don't know what this target share is going to shake out as. If I can avoid it, I am sitting Cortland Sutton. Antonio Brown is the guy that I will go with here. Casey Timms, Kyle in a tough wide receiver spot. Start Jalen Waddle or Deebo Samuel in a half PPR. They're right in the same range. I talked about Deebo Samuel as one of my sits, though, and I love Jalen Waddle. I think that he is absolutely going to come out of the gates on fire here this week, so I will go with Jalen Waddle. Tyler Hupp, Amari Cooper, or Godwin with a hamstring. Godwin is a full participant in practice, so I'm not concerned about that. I think that he's all systems go for tonight in a fantastic matchup. Godwin is the answer for me. Luke 3000, full PPR, Chris Carson or Gus Edwards. I will go with Gus Edwards there, even in a full PPR. I think Chris Carson at RB18, Gus Edwards at RB15. In half PPR scoring, that really doesn't move all that much to full PPR, so I will go with Gus Edwards. James Sampson, after the top 5 tight ends, how would you rank the rest for week 1? James, I'm so glad you asked. Let me run through my tight end rankings for you all. All right. Tyler Higbee at 6. TJ Hawkinson at 7. Jonnu Smith at 8. Robert Tonyan at 9. Logan Thomas at 10. Dan Harris has him at tight end 1. Dallas Goedert at tight end 11. Noah Fant at tight end 12. Then I've got on the fringe Mike Gesicki at 13. Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. So I've got Tyler Higbee as one of those guys that you can absolutely start this week. And then Jonnu Smith, I think, is going to soak up targets here. The rest of the guys have tougher matchups as far as the ones that I know what their role is. And then you start to get into some murky situations with Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Mike Gesicki, Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, players like that. They're all kind of just in this kind of same tier and cluster where if you flip around that order from tight end 11 with Dallas Goedert on, you can make a case that any of them should be within your top 12. All right. Halit Sanmez, should I trade Jefferson for James Robinson? No, I think you can get more for Justin Jefferson than James Robinson. I think that you can flip him for a higher ranked running back. CB, full PPR, Jacoby Myers versus Miami or Josh Jacobs versus Baltimore. I really don't want to play Jacoby Myers this week, but I also really don't want to play Josh Jacobs. So I think that the lesser of two evils is Josh Jacobs. I think I have a clearer idea of what his role is going to be, even though it is and the workload he's going to get, even though it is a tough matchup for him on the ground. I think that he's still going to receive 15 carries in this one. With Jacoby Myers, I mean, there is the potential that he is just completely eliminated because of the cornerback play in this one. So Jacoby Myers I've got as a low-end flex play. Josh Jacobs just outside my top 24 running backs. B-Rob, start Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence. I know the Washington defense is really good, but I don't think I can trust Trevor Lawrence just yet. I have in my quarterback rankings, you are absolutely correct that this is a tough matchup for Justin Herbert. Trevor Lawrence, a beautiful matchup up against Houston. I've got Herbert at 12. I've got Trevor Lawrence at 13. So I know that really doesn't make the situation all that more clear for you. I think that you can lean into who you drafted first. I think that you can go with Justin Herbert. I think that I think that he's going to have enough passing volume in this one. He's still got the playmakers. Now, if we get word that Austin Eckler is going to miss this game, that might bump Justin Herbert down just a couple of spots, where then Trevor Lawrence would jump up because of the matchup. So I just have more faith and more confidence in Justin Herbert than I do with Trevor Lawrence, who, yes, it's a fantastic matchup. You can't ask for a better matchup in week one, but he's still a rookie quarterback. So playing in his first game, I just don't have complete confidence in him just yet. I will go with Justin Herbert unless we get news about Austin Eckler, which, guys, we have this start sit live stream, which Andrew Erickson is actually going to be doing every single week. Andrew Erickson over from PFF has agreed to partner with us this year to kind of step in as we're a man down. Obviously, many of you know that Mike Tagliere is still in the hospital battling with COVID. Our thoughts and prayers and good vibes are out to Tags every single day. I know that many of you have come to know him as like one of your best friends too, with how much you have listened to the podcast, how much you follow his advice. So please continue to be thinking about him as you go throughout your day and sending those prayers. If you want more updates with him, his wife Tabby Tags on Twitter is providing updates as frequently as she can. So we get asked all the time, how's Tags doing? So we are just constantly just pointing people to her Twitter saying, make sure that you follow her because she's providing those updates. And we want to give them their privacy and space as well. But Andrew Erickson will be stepping in and doing this start sit live stream every single Thursday. So make sure that you go follow him on Twitter at Andrew Erickson _. He was on our Start Sit podcast yesterday. He's also going to be doing that. But then we have our Start Sit live streams on Sunday morning as well. We are not slowing down the content here at FantasyPros.com. So if we have these kind of situations where you're asking about Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, where the rankings might shift by the time that we get to where you have to set your lineups, we're still doing a live stream on Sunday morning. We're still doing multiple of them. And I will be back on Sunday mornings from 12 to 1, right up until kickoff to make sure that, so I can give the latest updates here and the latest information where I might be able to follow up with you here and say, Justin Herbert moved down a couple spots because Austin Eckler is not playing, or Eckler's playing, start Justin Herbert. Okay. That was B-Rob. Sir Blue, need your help, please. Superflex League, start Raheem Mostert or Sam Darnold? Okay. I'm actually intrigued by playing Sam Darnold this week as a QB2 in Superflex formats. However, I'm still going with Raheem Mostert. Even though it is a Superflex format, I think that Raheem Mostert is going to be a fantastic start against the Detroit Lions defense. I've joked about it that 150 rushing yards minimum and 2 touchdowns is in the cards of what we could expect here for Raheem Mostert. Even though it's a quarterback and it's Sam Darnold and he has a great matchup, it's still Sam Darnold in his first game with Carolina. We don't know what to expect. Raheem Mostert, we know what to expect as long as he's healthy. We'll go with Mostert there. Charlie Cutler, pick up Le'Veon Bell, Tyson Williams, or Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson, I don't know what's going on with him as far as an injury, even though as I was writing the Week 1 article, the Week 1 fantasy projections, which you can find now over at FantasyPros.com. It's an article that I do every single week. During the season, this ended up being 21,000 words this year with projection, or this week with projections for every single fantasy relevant player, in-depth player notes, diving into the matchups, everything like that. So please go over to FantasyPros.com and check out that article. It will have everything you need to set your lineup this week. As I was writing that, with the potential news that Austin Eckler was going to miss, I was looking for information on Justin Jackson and his injury and where he is at in his rehab with it, and I could not find anything. So I don't know what we're expecting here with Justin Jackson, when he's going to be back, if he is even going to take this RB2 role, even though all signs point to it. Tyson Williams would be the guy that I'm looking to pick up here. I think that Lev Bell, at this point of his career, does not concern me, does not move me off of how highly they have talked about Tyson Williams. I think he's the guy that you want to roster. Booty me Dan. Last question. Full PPR for my wide receiver 2. Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, or Cortland Sutton. I will go with Tyler Lockett here. I've got Lockett at 22, Deontay Johnson at 29, and then Cortland Sutton I have at... can't remember. Pulling it up right now. Cortland Sutton I have at 38. Let's fly through these final ones before we wrap up here. Buzz, Nacho, full PPR, Javonte Williams or James Conner. I will go with Javonte Williams there. Pocket change, 013, Cortland Sutton or Deebo Samuel. I will go with Deebo Samuel there. Although both of these guys are low-end wide receiver 3s, flex plays for me. Daniel Vargas, OBJ or Robbie Anderson. Super close, great question. I have Odell Beckham Jr. at 24. I have Robbie Anderson at 28. And let me talk about this tier. So OBJ at 24, Corey Davis at 25, Antonio Brown 26, Brandon Cooks 27, Robbie Anderson at 28. All of those players could be flipped around in any sort of order within that tier, and I'd be fine with it. I really like all of these guys for this week based on their current matchups. So if you want to play Robbie Anderson over OBJ, I'm not going to fight you on it. I think that I will still go with OBJ and his upside if this game does turn into a shootout. But Robbie Anderson against the New York Jets secondary revenge game narrative, I think that he can have a great game. This is my first time doing a live stream like this since week 17 of last year. My voice was not ready for it. I was not prepared. All right, here we go. T. Lau, David Johnson or James Conner at the flex. I'll go with James Conner. You should not be rostering David Johnson this year. Ali Shavira, Dak or Tannehill. I will go with... That's actually pretty close. I wanted to confidently answer Dak there, but I don't think that is the case. Hold on. I have Dak Prescott at 11 on the week. I have Ryan Tannehill at 8, so I will go with Ryan Tannehill. Ben H., Josh Jacobs, or Myles Gaskin in a standard league. A standard league kind of brings that a little bit closer, but I will still go with Myles Gaskin. A doo-doo. Contingency plan if A.J. Brown can't go on Sunday. Don't worry about it. A.J. Brown is going to play on Sunday. Looks like this was just a rest day for him based on a report I saw come across yesterday. Justin Shaw, Michael Pittman Jr., or Marquez Callaway in a full PPR format. I think that Callaway absolutely has potential to return top 36 value this week. I really am excited to see what happens with him, but I don't have the same level of confidence in him that I probably should. I've got him at 43. I've got Pittman, the same amount of level of confidence in him that I could if he performs well here this week. Still his first game. So I've got Pittman ranked higher than Callaway this week. Van Buren boys, do you think Kyle Granson has value in a dynasty league? I think he does. You're gonna have to wait. He's one of these situations, unless you are in a super deep dynasty league where you're holding on to, like, you have 30-man rosters or whatever, holding on to like a tight end 3, a tight end 4, one of these like rookie tight ends that you're just hoping kind of develops. I really don't. I'm not a proponent of it. I think that they should belong on your waiver wire, and then you can make a pickup for them if they do break out, because there are so many rookie tight ends that just do not develop the way that they should. Kyle Granson has performed really, really well here in training camp for the Indianapolis Colts, but he's got some competition there. I don't think we're going to see anything from him this year, maybe not even next. Tops only, Claypool, Ayuk, or Lockett for the flex spot in a PPR league. I will go with Lockett there over Ayuk. I answered that one earlier. With those two players, it kind of all depends on what you need. If you want to swing for the fences, then you go with Ayuk. If you want at least a little bit of safety, I think that you can go with Lockett, but it kind of sounds like an oxymoron where you're talking about safety and Tyler Lockett. Michael Roman, full PPR, Julio Jones or Mike Davis. I will go with Julio Jones here. John Hancock, Gus Edwards, or David Montgomery. I will go with Gus Edwards. And then last question here, Tony Costella, how confident are we in Zeke tonight? Talked about this earlier. I'm not super confident in Zeke because he just does not have the upside here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense. They are absolutely dominant run defense, and they've returned all their starters. So with Zeke, he's still someone that you start because you drafted him with a top 5, top 6, 7 pick. So you start Zeke. However, I don't think that we should be super confident or super excited that he's going to finish as a top 12 running back. I think that I've got him at 14 on the week. Could see him finishing even lower than that if you can't find the end zone, but I think that we can still lean into the volume that he's going to see in this offense. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the YouTube Start Sit live stream for week 1. We got football. We got football tonight, guys. This is going to be so much fun to watch, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. Let me double back to what I was talking about earlier with tags and the current situation, guys. This has been a heavy month for us. We've been trying to just keep up with a ton of content here for you guys as we move into draft season and then now into week 1 of the NFL season. But this has been hanging over our heads where our best friend is currently in the hospital battling for his life. And so this has not been easy for us, but the support, the amount of support that we have seen from you guys has just been absolutely incredible. We feel that you guys are feeling this heavily as well. So continue to send your prayers, your thoughts, your good vibes, whatever that looks like for you. Continue to send that for Mike Tagliere. I have full faith that he is going to be back on the podcast sooner than later, telling me that my takes are all idiotic and that I am wrong. And that's going to happen sooner than later. So, guys, thank you so much. Tune into the Start Sit live streams that we got going on Sunday morning. Join our Discord channel over at FantasyPros.com/chat. Get my playbook over at FantasyPros.com/myplaybook. There are so many amazing things that we have here at FantasyPros.com to make sure that you are prepared for your weekly lineups this season. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.